Hey everyone, and welcome to Cognito Key. Today, we're going to crack the code on something really fundamental in the world of software, testing. We're going to make it super simple to understand the two big approaches, black box and white box testing. So let's get right into it. To get our heads around this, let's start with a little thought experiment. Imagine someone hands you a sealed, mysterious box. You have absolutely no idea what's inside or how it's supposed to work. So how would you figure out its purpose? This very question is really the key to understanding how we make sure all the apps and software we use every day actually do what they're supposed to. So, with our mystery box, your first option is to just start playing with it from the outside, right? You'd press any buttons you see, maybe shake it a little, but you're not going to open it. Well, that's exactly what the black box approach is. You're completely focused on what you can see and observe, what goes in and what comes out. So, what does that mean in the software world? Well, black box testing is all about checking the software's functionality without knowing anything at all about the code that makes it run. It's all about the inputs and the outputs. You click a button and you check if the right thing happens on the screen. You honestly don't care how it works on the inside, just that it works the way it's supposed to. So what are we actually looking for? Well, we're asking some pretty basic questions. Is a feature just completely missing? Does that login button actually log you in? Or does it just throw up an error page? Can you save your work and get it back later? Does the app even open and close without crashing? These are all things that a normal user would notice, and that's exactly the whole point of this approach. And because this whole method is basically just copying what a user would do, you really don't need to be a programmer to do it. It's often done by independent testers or sometimes even by the customers themselves. They bring that crucial end-user perspective, and they don't need to know a single line of code to do it. And this, right here, is why black box testing is so important. It makes sure that the final product actually does what the customer wants it to do. That it solves their problem. It's like the ultimate reality check for any piece of software. Okay, so that's what happens when we test from the outside. But what if we could actually see inside the box? Let's imagine now that our mystery box is suddenly made of clear glass, and we can look inside and see every single little gear and wire doing its thing. This brings us to the complete opposite, white box testing. You might also hear people call it glass box or structural testing, which makes a lot of sense, right? With this approach, the tester has full access to everything, the internal structure, the design, and the actual source code itself. So what is a white box tester looking for exactly? Well, they're kind of like detectives, tracing every possible path the code could take to find security holes. They're checking every single logical if this, then that condition to make sure there's no unexpected behavior. They're hunting for things that could slow the system down over time. Basically, they're making sure the whole thing is built on a solid foundation. Now, as you can probably guess, this is not a job for just anyone. This is really the home turf of the software developers. They're the ones with that deep programming knowledge, and, they know the code inside and out because they wrote it. And why is this so critical? Because white box testing can find those really sneaky hidden flaws that a normal user might never run into, until that one very specific, one in a million thing happens and the whole system just crashes. It's all about making sure the software's foundation is rock solid. All right, we've looked at both of these approaches on their own. Now, let's put them side by side and really see the key differences at a glance. This table really sums it up nicely. You can see black box focuses on the external stuff, the functionality, while white box is all about the internal structure. Black box testing, that's done by testers, maybe even customers, who don't need coding skills, and it usually happens later in the process. On the other hand, white box is done by developers right at the early stages, and man, it can be very time-consuming because it's so detailed. So, after all of that, you might be asking yourself, okay, so which one is better? But honestly, that's kind of the wrong question. They aren't rivals, they're actually essential partners in building great software. The most important thing to remember is that these two methods are complementary. Just think of them as two sides of the same coin. Each one is designed to find different kinds of problems. If you only use one, you're going to have some pretty big blind spots. So to just boil it all down, black box testing makes sure the software works from the user's point of view, and white box testing makes sure it's solid from the developer's point of view. You absolutely need both to create a high-quality product that people will love to use. It's really that simple. So here's a final thought for you. Think about the app you use the most. A button that just doesn't work? Yeah, that's a black box find. But what about that weird random crash that only seems to happen when you upload a very specific type of file? That almost certainly needed a white box approach to find and fix. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this explainer helpful, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Cognito Key for more explainers on the world of tech. We'll see you in the next one.